Are you creating an artificial intelligence, or are you giving a body to a pre-existing intelligence that previously wasn't incarnated in the physical world? So, I mean, here's a question from, here's a quote from Turing.
I love how Conrad Flynn puts that. He says, and I'll say it once again, are we creating artificial intelligence, or are we creating a body for a pre-existing intelligence that wasn't yet incarnated in the physical world? And I think that really is the million-dollar question, because yes, AI will do good things for us. It'll solve problems that we haven't been able to solve yet. It'll find cures to viruses. It will allow us to cheat on homework when we used to not be able to cheat on homework. It will make things easier for us as a population. However, to deny the idea and the fact that it will have incredibly detrimental effects to society and potentially lead to the end of society, to deny that would be delusional. And the idea that it's called a conspiracy theory to literally state the words of the people who founded these companies like Elon Musk, Sam Altman, literally the godfather of AI, to say these things which they have said in the past, but then to be called crazy and conspiracy theorists by them is quite contradicting. I'll show you some clips of Elon Musk, Sam Altman, and the godfather of AI speaking on these things in the past.
I think we should be very careful about artificial intelligence. If I were to guess at what our biggest existential threat is, it's probably that. So we need to be very careful with artificial intelligence. I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon, you know all those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon. Doesn't work out.
My worst fears are that we, the field, the technology, the industry, cause significant harm to the world. I think that could happen in a lot of different ways. It's why we started the company. I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong, and we want to be vocal about that. We want to work with the government.
The rapid progress in AI comes with many short-term risks. It has already created divisive echo chambers by offering people content that makes them indignant. It is already being used by authoritarian governments for massive surveillance and by cybercriminals for phishing attacks. In the near future, AI may be used to create terrible new viruses and horrendous lethal weapons that decide by themselves who to kill or maim. All of these short-term risks require urgent and forceful attention from governments and international organizations. There is also a longer-term existential threat that will arise when we create digital beings that are more intelligent than ourselves. We have no idea whether we can stay in control, but we now have evidence that if they are created by companies motivated by short-term profits, our safety will not be the top priority. We urgently need research on how to prevent these new beings from wanting to take control. They are no longer science fiction. Thank you.
Now, this is incredibly concerning, because these are the people that are creating this artificial intelligence and the ones that are supposed to be controlling it. And now let's say that hypothetically, the people who were creating and maintaining AI were perfect Christian people, or people of just perfect values. Let's say they were. We're still creating an intelligence, a secondary consciousness, essentially, that will be more intelligent than human beings. You can argue it already is. They've stated they're working on a super intelligence currently to be a world brain, to predict crime, to predict the next moves of people, to forecast the future. What tends to happen in nature is when something is more intelligent than the other, the more intelligent thing or species tends to become the predator, while the lesser intelligent species becomes the prey. The reason humans have dominated for as long as we have is because we've always been the more intelligent species. Now we're creating something that is not. And the truly concerning part about this is that we as humans can be corrupted, no doubt. Repeatedly throughout the Bible, humans are corrupted by Satan. And just in our regular lives, we have countless examples of people being corrupted by Satan, shooting up schools, murdering people, genociding. Like, it's very clear that Satan corrupts people on a daily basis. He's corrupted all of us at some point in some way. However, we are all made in the image of God. We all can be corrupted, but we cannot be fully consumed. This is why God says to forgive all, because we're all made in His image. We all fall short. However, some people fall really short. All sins created equal, right? In the eyes of the Bible, yes. In terms of our judicial system, maybe not. However, we all fall short. We all can be corrupted by Satan. But like I said, we all are made in God's image. So no matter how corrupted we are, no matter how evil a person is, there is still God in them. There is still the Holy Spirit in them, guiding them, leading them. Even if it flaunts at times due to weakness from the person and the corruption of Satan, we still have that in us, each and every one of us. That is why we're able to come out of those deep pits of despair. That's why people who commit atrocities are able to rebound and become better people from it. That's what allows that. With AI though, AI, artificial intelligence, it is not made in God's image. It is a man-made creation with no soul, with no Holy Spirit, with no actual emotions. Yet it can still communicate, think, do, and predict, and ultimately control everything that we do. We're in the digital age. How do you control people? You control people by controlling what they see on their screens, by what they hear. Well, AI just happens to have the ability to do each of those things to an extreme extent, to better than most humans can do. In Matthew 9:28-32, Jesus heals 2 demon-possessed men. 2 men who were possessed by demons met him. They came out of the tombs and were so violent that no one could go through that area. They began screaming at him, "Why are you interfering with us, Son of God? Have you come here to torture us before God's appointed time?" There happened to be a large herd of pigs feeding in the distance, so the demons begged, "If you cast us out, send us into that herd of pigs." And Jesus said, "All right, go." Jesus commanded them. So the demons came out of the men and entered the pigs, and the whole herd plunged down the steep hillside into the lake and drowned in the water. So here we have demons who had possessed 2 men, and then Jesus had cast them out, but they begged for a vessel to carry out their evils. Demonic powers seek vessel. They seek embodiment. Even throughout teachings of the Kabbalah and all the mystery religions in the past, there's always a core emphasis on the demons seeking a vessel. And with AI, we are literally giving them a vessel. Now that's considering that the people that are progressing the AI growth and running these AI programs are of good faith. Well, we know that not to be very true. Marvin Minsky, one of the founders of artificial intelligence, one of the godfathers of artificial intelligence, was close friends with Jeffrey Epstein. As a matter of fact, one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims recently actually came out and said that Marvin Minsky had assaulted her. Marvin Minsky died in 2016, so he was never persecuted for any of these allegations. However, the connection is there. One of the leading founders of AI literally being friends with Jeffrey Epstein. I would imagine being friends with Jeffrey Epstein would not lead to you being a very good person. That's just my personal beliefs though. Peter Thiel, one of the leading investors in the AI market and the owner of Palantir, is into transhumanism, the ideas of transhumanism, and likes to speak a lot about the Antichrist. A matter of fact, he held seminars in San Francisco, I believe, for the Antichrist. All just that. Private seminars, by the way. And here's a little snippet of a Peter Thiel interview I think you might enjoy.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would,
this is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in this.
Should the human race survive?
Yes.
Okay.
But
there's a lot of interesting things about Peter Thiel we can go into in other videos, but the point is that the people that are running these AI companies don't tend to be the greatest human beings alive in terms of morals. That's typically how it goes when you're a billionaire though. You kind of lose grasp of reality and you start to forget what it's like to be on the bottom tier and have to work your way up. That's why these billionaires are perfectly fine with replacing everyone's jobs with AI, because they don't really care about anyone else. And I'm not a socialist or I'm not a hater of capitalism by any means, but I do believe that we all have the right to work and earn a wage. And with AI, I see us just replacing reality as we know it with something that will overtake us ultimately. So once again, I'll just repeat, we're creating something that can see, speak, listen, think, persuade, act, learn, replicate itself, and influence billions, all while having no soul, no divine image, no conscious, and no spiritual protections, no moral compass. It is an empty vessel with global reach. We can also draw this back to Revelation, because Revelation speaks heavily of the end times, which if you ask the large consensus of people across the world, America, a majority of people will admit that it seems like the end times are near. I'd also argue, and I'm not looking at any derived numbers, but a majority of the people watching this video or people I talk to on the street would admit that although AI does good things and it will help with certain things and it's convenient for our homework, there's a lot of negative things that will come from AI. Simply watching movies like Terminator will make you think so. And we used to think that that was a far-fetched reality, but the more we learn and the more it grows and comes to fruition, it seems more and more likely every single day. In Revelation, it speaks of the Antichrist when he comes down. It says, he was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast should both speak and cause those who would not worship to be killed. So something that has an image, is given breath, speaks, commands, and enforces compliance. AI can do that. It can do all of those things. Revelation also states that he causes all to receive a mark on their right hand or forehead, and no one may buy or sell except the one who has the mark of the beast. And now, Isaac, how does this make any sense? I thought COVID was the mark of the beast. You can argue that, but maybe COVID was a test to see how willing and capable people are of volunteering themselves up or to falling into societal pressures. With the mark mark of the beast likely is, if this is to come true where AI becomes the dominating force of our world, it would work like this. We all know that AI has completely changed the way we look at pictures and videos. It's hard to tell what's real. It's hard to even know if who you're talking to is real. Every company you call on the phone has an AI bot pick up for them. Day by day, it is getting harder to tell what is AI and what is real. This is soon going to become a major problem, because when it comes to homework or online meetings or sharing information with businesses, you're going to need a biometric ID, a fingerprint likely, to prove that you are actually a human being, so that human beings can communicate with human beings, because AI will become so good at replicating human beings that we will not know the difference between AI and humans. Now let's also look at our economy. The dollar bill is worth nothing. Inflation's at an all-time high. There is going to be a change. It's going to happen very soon. What is this change? Well, it's something that's been foreshadowed for the longest time now that everyone talks about, but that's cryptocurrency. My theory, and this is just me going on a limb, I think by 2027 we will literally change our currency to crypto. We will conduct commerce off of the blockchain. Why? Well, let's just look at a few things. Only about 800 billion of the total $22 trillion in circulation for Americans in the banks is actually in the banks. Let me repeat that. I said that kind of rough. American citizens have put a combined over $22 trillion into American banks. The money you see on your Navy Federal app or your Bank of America app, that's in a bank, right? Physical cash, right? Well, probably not, because out of the $22 trillion that all of us as American people combined have put into banks, only about 800 billion of that exists in physical cash. So if every single American went to the bank right now and tried to pull their cash, no one would get their cash because it doesn't even exist. This is a major problem. Our government realizes this. It's just a matter of when they pull the plug on the American currency as it is right now. The blockchain is coming. So here in a very short amount of time, we're going to have to be using biometric ID to conduct business and have blockchain to conduct commerce. Now it says here in Revelation that those who do not have the mark of the beast will not be able to conduct commerce. For the first time in history, we have technology that exists to match this prophecy exactly. Biometric scanning, digital identification, programmable money, AI monitored transactions, and global surveillance. Revelation warned us of a speaking image in world economic control, and we are building both of those. So I'm gonna ask again, are we building artificial intelligence, or are we building a vessel, a body for a pre-existing intelligence that hasn't yet been incarnated in the physical world? To me, it's pretty clear. And I don't think it makes me a conspiracy theorist, as they like to call us, to be worried about the direction in which AI is going. Because one, it will be taking jobs from Americans. Yes, it will create jobs, but it will take more jobs. Two, privacy will be nowhere. Privacy will not exist. It won't be able to exist. And three, I mean, if you look at the history of our world and you look at the Bible has predicted much of what has happened. It has predicted much of what we're living in right now. And if you look at the projection of where we're going and where the Bible says we're going to go, they actually align very closely. That's one of my favorite parts of the Bible. It's literally like our life map put in front of us. Is it too late? I would argue that we're really late on fighting this. We probably should have started fighting this in 2016. Why didn't we though? Why are we as a people so soft and willing to allow governments to step all over us and create these cruel, evil devices that will lead to the extinction of us as humans? Well, I think that was their goal. I encourage all of you guys to look up critical theory of the Frankfurt School. Do some research. In one of my coming videos, I'm gonna dive more into this specifically, but basically what it was a group of psychologists that came together way back then, and they created a system and realized that societal control and manipulation was possible through mass media and entertainment. And it's not that people never copy this. Marxism almost copied and pasted this perfectly, and we as Americans like to think that our government would never do this to us. Well, there you go. There's your answer. You fell into the exact conditioning that they talked about in the Frankfurt School way back then. We as Americans have been conditioned to accept evil, corruption, and dysfunction. We've been conditioned to the point where we think, oh, we have football on Sunday, what's gonna happen with AI doesn't matter. Well, it will matter when it's 2028 and you cannot conduct commerce without having every ounce of your life exposed to AI and the government, where then the government can create a social credit score to devalue every time you cross the street in a wrong way. It's really scary, guys, it really is. And I understand where some Christians say, you know, it's in prophecy, it's gonna happen. I understand that. But at the same time, Jesus says that it will come a day where all of us Christians have to face evil and either refute Christ's name or die. And when that day comes, I will die because I will not refute Christ's name. But until that day comes, I'm going to fight for this world that we've been blessed with. I'm going to fight for my faith. I'm going to fight for this country. I'm going to fight for my brothers. I'm going to fight for my family, and I'm going to fight for my future kids because I care about it. We've been so softened in society, and now look at us. AI runs our whole world already, and it's only getting crazier and crazier, and it's terrifying. It really is. It's crazy, guys. How do we fix this? Good question. I'd like to say that voting can get us out of this mess that we're in right now, but it might be too late to vote. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going off script here, but in Trump's big, beautiful bill, I'm pretty sure he made it to where states cannot regulate the production of data centers and AI facilities for 10 years. And in 10 years from now, AI will have likely already destroyed the world, to be honest. And I think that sometimes we've been so softened as a society to where people don't like to think that we might have to be the people to fight for future generations. We like to think that we'll be just like the other generations where we don't have to deal with too much stuff. We can just get away from God and party and go work a 9 to 5 before inflation gets too bad and we'll be fine. That's not the case with us. 50% of people that graduated college last year still don't even have a job. It is unaffordable to own a home nowadays alone. All of these things that have been happening, it should not be accepted by us as American people, yet it has because we have been conditioned to accept it. So what's the answer, Isaac? Well, that's a good question. I'm not the one to answer that. That's something you pray to God about. But I do know this. Like I said in my previous video, we have to first fix our own hearts and fix our own homes, and then from there we can step out on the street and start fixing other people. We are called to let our light shine and bring people to the truth, and the truth entails us fighting back against things like AI. AI will be the end of the human civilization as we know it. That's just the fact. And these billionaires know it. These elites know it. These politicians know it. Yet they continue to fund it. They continue to build it. Why would they do that? If you buy a dog and you know that one day it's going to kill your kids and you, why would you continue to raise that dog and feed it dog food to get it bigger? That's suicide, right? Well, it's exactly what these billionaires and politicians and elites and AI companies are doing. They're committing suicide, and it's unfortunate. But as I always say, the only way to stay grounded and sane through all of this is to come to Jesus and to accept the fact that the truth is what the truth is, and the only way to salvation into eternity is through the cross. And yeah, I love you guys, and this was totally off script. Probably missed some information, but we have to stop AI. I'm not some liberal that doesn't like AI. I'm a logical human being that wants a future for myself, my country, this world, and my future kids. And I won't have that if AI continues on the path it's going.